10 Unusual People with the Strangest Talents. Imagine being able to remember everything, or feeling no pain, or never having to fall asleep. The world would be full of endless possibilities, and the results you could achieve with such amazing powers would be well worth it. The human body is as strong as you train it to be. Your mind can solve almost any problem if you put yourself through the learning paces from an early age. However, some talents cannot be learned or acquired, and some are simply just nature's gift. Today, we'll take a look at some people who were either born with some unusual talents or who got those strange talents thanks to a mishap. Number 10. Orlando Sorel. In 1979, Orlando Sorel was playing a baseball game in elementary school when a stray ball slammed into the side of his head. However, this didn't faze him, and he kept playing. For 1 year, Sorel experienced headaches that would last for hours. By the end of that year, he realized that he could perform superb calendar calculations, such as knowing how many Mondays there were in 1980. Along with this incredible skill, he could remember every detail of every day, much like a hyperthymesia sufferer. In Sorel's case, this was obviously a much less severe form of brain damage, yet it was still head trauma. When it comes to savants, regular people are often jealous of their skills. In reality, the reason savants are able to have such great brains is because they look at the tiny details that we don't focus on. This is why savants have greater difficulty taking tests, especially like the ones in school. Before we move on, I've got a little challenge for all of you that'll just take 5 seconds to complete. So here's the deal. You leave a like on this video, smash that subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And boom, 25 years of amazing luck. Try it, it really works. Number 9. Thai Ngoc. Vietnamese farmer Thai Ngoc suffered a fever in 1973, which seemed like nothing much at first. However, when the fever cleared up, he had developed a bad case of insomnia. Thinking it would go away in a week, he didn't give it much attention. Now, over 40 years later, he hasn't slept since the night of the fever. After over 12,000 nights of no sleep, you'd think he'd be dead. However, after examinations, the only thing wrong with him were minor liver problems. The only complaint from Ngoc is that he's a little grumpy from not experiencing sleep for over 3 decades. He tried countless home remedies and even tried drowning himself in alcohol. Nothing seemed to work. So why is his insomnia persisting for so long? One of the explanations could be a phenomenon called microsleep. Micronaps occur when a part of your brain gets tired and decides to quickly take a few seconds to nap. Almost everyone has probably experienced these when tired. Our brain temporarily shuts off and then goes back on again. Falling asleep while driving is a good example of microsleep, and this is likely how Ngoc has been getting by for so long. Number 8. All Tibetans. Sherpas are known for guiding people up Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world. The Sherpas of Nepal and most Tibetans have traits that allow them to survive in the mountains at around 4 kilometers, 13,000 feet above sea level. Just a few years ago, researchers had no idea why they were able to do this. Now they know that 87% of Tibetans have a specific gene that allows them to use up to 40% less oxygen than the average human. The EPAS1 gene is responsible for Tibetans being able to live at such high altitudes for so long. For most people, going up as high as 3 kilometers, 10,000 feet, causes their hemoglobin levels to rise. Hemoglobin is the substance in our blood that helps carry oxygen throughout the body. The EPAS1 gene doesn't let Tibetans' hemoglobin levels rise beyond a certain extent, which prevents heart-related problems that normal people would experience. According to researchers, Tibetans gained this ability from now-extinct beings, called the Denisovans. The Denisovans lived around the area where Tibetans live now, and their fossils have been found to contain the exact same EPAS1 gene. Number 7. Elizabeth Solcer. By now, most people know about the incredibly strange condition called synesthesia. Some people can feel colors when their eyes are closed. For Elizabeth Solcer, her sight, hearing, and taste have been mixed, allowing her to see colorful sound waves and taste music. Assuming that this was a normal thing, she'd been living her entire life thinking other people could also taste and see music and sounds. However, when Solcer realized no one else had these capabilities, she felt alone because she couldn't share what she was feeling with anyone. Synesthesia isn't all good though. People who can see sounds are constantly distracted in noisy areas, and as you can imagine, get headaches quite frequently. Luckily, Solcer is a musician, so these abilities help her out significantly, letting her form symphonies and melodies out of colors. While still a mysterious condition, Solcer's synesthesia doesn't seem to have any adverse effects, especially since she only sees music instead of regular sounds. Number 6. SM. Known anonymously as SM, this woman suffers from an unknown disease that has caused the part of her brain that controls fear to completely deteriorate. Now a mother of 3, SM is not able to feel fear, no matter how scary the situation is. In a study that tested her fearing abilities, SM watched the scariest of scary movies and touched a snake's tongue. When SM was a child, however, she remembers being afraid of the dark, but by the time she'd reached early adolescence, that part of her brain was already destroyed. In fact, she even described an encounter with a man when she was walking through a park at night. He ran up to her, put a knife to her throat, and instead of being terrified, she calmly told him he would have to go through her guardian angel first, which scared him off. Today, she simply describes the experience as strange. Number 5. Dean Karnassus. Anyone who's ever taken part in a marathon knows that at some points, you have to take a quick break. Yet for Dean Karnassus, something about his muscles allows him to run forever. Normally, the human body gets energy from glucose, which also produces lactate. If the lactate buildup gets to be too much, the body will produce lactic acid, which causes it to shut down. Dean's body isn't affected by the lactate buildup, allowing him to never get tired. Dean started running in high school when he joined a track team. While the rest of his team could only do 15 laps, he did 105 before he was told to stop. Obviously intrigued, some scientists in Colorado tested his endurance, and because of this unique ability, he once ran 50 marathons in 50 days. Number 4. Tibetan Monks. In southern Asia, specifically Tibet, monks claim to have learned how to control their body temperatures using an ancient form of meditation called Tummo. According to Buddhism, the life we live is not all there is. There is a sort of alternate reality. By practicing Tummo, these monks are supposedly reaching the other world, but in the process, they seem to generate a significant amount of heat. When tested for this weird phenomenon, scientists were astounded to find that the temperature of the monks' fingers and toes rose by an incredible 17 degrees Fahrenheit. However, Tummo is not the only form of meditation Tibetan monks practice. Other types of meditation allow the monks to lower their metabolism, which is how fast the body breaks down calories. Through meditation, the monks can lower their metabolism by around 64%. This allows them to conserve energy, unlike regular people. In comparison, the average human can only lower their metabolism by about 15% when asleep. Number 3. Chris Robinson. Chris Robinson woke up one day after an extraordinarily vivid dream in which he saw 2 planes crash in midair. Since that day, he's allegedly been able to see the future in his dreams. Stanley himself, with the help of Daniel Browning-Smith, tested Robinson by setting up an experiment. He told Robinson that they would take him to 10 places the following day, and his job was to dream about the locations they were going to visit. The next day, Robinson wrote down each of the locations he dreamed about and put them in envelopes. As they drove to each location, they opened the corresponding envelope, and sure enough, Robinson had gotten everything right. This seems incredibly suspicious, and it just might be. Robinson was tested again, and this time he had to guess what item was placed inside a box. Over the course of 12 days, Robinson took 12 separate guesses, but he only managed to get a few right this time around. Number 2. Eskill Ronin. One of the most death-dying and incredible performance artists in the world, Ronin first got into the art of balancing when he was just 5 years old. When Ronin was 18, he ran away to a circus and performed there for 11 years. He knew that balancing was exactly what he wanted to do. Now in his early 30s, Ronin puts his life on the line by riding bicycles upside down on a tightrope over a canyon and doing handstands on a bar that hangs under a flying hot air balloon. Ronin isn't fearless, however, admitting that he gets anxiety before some stunts. He claims that fear is part of what makes us human, and that if he ever lost his sense of fear, he'd immediately quit. Alright, so before we unveil our top pick for these amazing humans, We'd like to thank Nate Diaz from Mexico for sending us this image, which we used as a thumbnail for today's video. Thanks, Nate! Number 1. Natalia Demkina. In Russia, a young girl named Natalia Demkina suddenly began seeing inside people's bodies. Since a young age, Demkina had people come over to her apartment and have her look inside of them to figure out their sickness. Interested in this X-ray girl, Dr. Ray Hyman decided to fly over to New York City and run some tests. One of the tests involved 6 patients which had various conditions, like a removed appendix or a metal plate in the skull from a brain tumor, and one patient who didn't have any medical conditions at all. They gave Demkina 6 cards with all the different conditions on them, and then sent the patients in one by one. She got 4 of them right, which is still fairly impressive, even though she claims to be able to see down to a cellular level. But what do you think? Can she really see through flesh and bone? Let us know what you think in the comments below.